Hey everyone, how you doing? Had some good things happen this week. I picked up my new 2017 Hyundai Ioniq EV. That's right, that's an electric car. And I've been waiting since, I ordered this on August the 10th and I just received it on December the 21st. So that's just over 4 months that I waited for this. Is it 4 or 3? No, that's just over 4 months that I waited for this car. So that's quite a long wait for a car. But nonetheless, I really do think it's worth it. It's a really nice car to drive. It's very efficient. It's a great commuter car. I'm going to be using this to go back and forth to work every day. And I really think this is the way to go these days. Another reason why I wanted to buy an electric car was I just have a feeling that within the next 5 or 10 years, maybe at the most, the resale value of gasoline cars is going to start going down. So with that in mind, and with the price of gas and all of that stuff, I just thought it would be a good idea to join the EV community and go green, and well, in this case blue, but anyways, that's what I did. So let's take a little bit of a look at it. So there you go. Before I picked it up, I called the dealership and I asked them about winter tires. So they ordered some winter tires and rims for me and had them put on the car, and this is how I drove it home. And the stock rims and tires, they're upstairs in the garage here in bags, and I'll put them on the car when the weather gets a bit better. So far, the only driving I've done on the car is I drove it home from the dealership in London, and I live in Chatham, and I drove it to work once on Friday. And that was it. That's the only driving I've done. There's only about 200 kilometers on the car right now. And when I got it off the lot, there were 27 kilometers on it, I believe, 27 or 22. So yeah, it's a pretty smart looking car. I love the shape of it. I think it's a nice looking car. It's a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be, but not a lot. I think it's a little bit larger than my Sunfire. It definitely has more room inside than the Sunfire. In the back, like I'm not that big of a person, but I've got tons of legroom in the back seat of this car, and I've got tons of headroom. I'm 5'8", so like I said, I'm not that tall, but there it is. There's the electric right there. So, and last weekend I knew I was getting the car, so last weekend already I installed my charger. This is a Canadian charger. It was made by a company called Ioniq out of Quebec, and it's got good ratings. A few people that I found that have one, they all like it. This one is not a smart one. This is just a charger. But if I want in the future, there is an upgrade card that I can put in it that will make it a smart one with Wi-Fi and all that good stuff if I wanted to. And then I could control it with an app and all that stuff. But for me, I really don't need that. And as you can see, I ordered the one with the plug on it, like a welding plug, because I do have a welder. And so I didn't have to have anything installed. I just hung it myself and plugged it in, and it works. Put the cord up so it's not on the ground all the time, and I got the holster over here. And so now when I come home, I can just plug the car in and we're good to go. Okay, so I just got in the car and I'm going to hit the start button. I'm not going to have my foot on the brake. When you start this car, you're supposed to have your foot on the brake, and then you hit the start button, and that'll start it up in drive mode. But I'm just going to hit the start button, and all that's going to do is turn on the radio, I believe. So we'll see what happens. So that's what happened. Just the radio came on, and that's it. So that's for sitting in the car listening to the radio. So now, if I hit it one more time, without my foot on the brake or nothing, this is just pushing it. Now it all comes alive. And there you go. That's how she looks. I've got 138 kilometers of range on it right now. And I've got a total of 229 kilometers on the car, and in the garage here right now it's 9 degrees Celsius. It's probably a little bit warmer, but that's what it is. Got a few lights on because the car is just in accessory mode. So you can see my gauge there. If I go here into EV, I can just push the EV button. And it should give me some history of what I've done so far. So it's telling me right now, if I go to a DC fast charger, it'll take 18 minutes to fill the car. With my charger that's on the wall there, it'll take 1 hour and 50 minutes to fill it to 100%. Or with the one that came with the car, the 120 volt one, it'll take 8 hours to fill her up. Go here. This, when you're driving it, it'll tell you how much power each different thing is using, the drivetrain or the climate controller or the radio and all that stuff. I thought somewhere on here it would give me information about. No. So if I go into the history, you can see that, I'm just going to turn the radio off. I don't want that on. If I go into the history here, you can see and I have not cleared this. This is what, this is just what was on the car. So you can see the first time the car was driven was November the 6th, and it drove for 5 kilometers. And they used 22 kilowatts per 100 kilometers, so they were driving it a little hard. Not a lot hard, but yeah, they were driving it pretty hard. And then the next time was December 15, and it was driven for 9 kilometers. So I have a funny feeling when it got to the dealership, somebody took this car, because did they get it on the 15th? Yes, I believe the dealership took possession of the car on the 15th, and it was driven for 9 kilometers, and you can see they used 32.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So that's really hitting it hard. And then since then, on the 22nd, well, no, then on the 21st, that's when we drove it home from London. And then the 22nd, I drove it to work and then back home from work. So anyways, it's kind of neat. It gives you all that information and whatnot. So I'm going to shut her down. So now we got the hood up, and I can show you what's under the hood. And they tried to make it look a little bit conventional, but really it isn't. So what you're looking at here is over here is the climate control underneath that plastic cover. That's the climate control, all the AC and all that. My understanding is that this stuff over here has to do with the heat pump. And I believe that's what the coolant here is for, and the coolant is also to cool the charger and the inverter, I believe. I don't think anything goes down to the actual motor. And there is a radiator, which a lot of people don't realize, but there is a radiator down there. I've snapped some pictures, and I will put those in the video too, so you can see them. So it does have a 12 volt battery, as you can see, and that is used to start the car, to pull in the relays to engage the high voltage battery. And it's also used to power all the accessories in the car, because the stereo and all of that stuff is the same, like all the lights and everything, is on any other Hyundai. They don't make a special radio or a special accessories just for the electric car. So that's why there's a 12-volt battery. And yes, it is possible that that battery could go dead and the car will not start because, like I said, it does use this battery to pull in the relays to start the car. You can actually hear, when you start the car, you can hear a little click from underneath the hood, and that's what this is doing. And then this here, you would think this is all the motor, but it's not. The top part, from what I can tell, this is the inverter. This is basically the controller that drives the motor, that it controls how much power the motor's producing and the RPM. It's not just a simple DC motor where, you know, you put a voltage to it and away you go. They can control the way the current is output to deliver a certain amount of torque and a certain amount of RPM, and that's what makes these cars so smooth. It's all in this controller. So that's that, okay? And it's basically a computer, yeah, it's basically a computer, and it's got 3 programs in it, one for eco driving, one for normal driving, and one for sport. And this is the top part of it is what controls that. And you can see in here, it's like a sandwich. You have the top part, and then you have the middle part, which is this part here. And I'll post a picture of that thing. There's a label there, and that is the charger because it tells you the input voltage and the output voltage and all that stuff. So that's the charger for the car. For when you plug in your charger, this is what's actually charging the battery, not the thing on the wall. The thing on the wall is just to communicate, to say, yep, it's safe, but you can enable the charging, you know, so a kid can't stick his fingers in the plug and get electrocuted. That's what that thing is for. Anyways, and then the motor, hard to see it, but the motor is way down there. So it's like a sandwich: inverter, charger, and then motor. And that's really all that's here, you know. And the only maintenance on here is windshield washer fluid, which I topped up already. This is the brake fluid, so you got to make sure there's brake fluid in it. And check the battery once in a while, and that's about it. Once a year you're supposed to bring it in for service, and they will basically do just that. And they will there's probably a way that they can check the condition of the traction battery or the high voltage battery, and run diagnostics and stuff. But there's really no maintenance on here to do. These cars, they use regenerative braking. Even if you got it set to not to regen when you take your foot off the gas, it still uses regen braking when you put your foot on the brake. It does that as much as possible before it pulls in the mechanical brake. So the brakes on these cars last forever because they don't use them that much. And yeah, it's really awesome technology. I really think this is the way to go. Anyway, so that's that. I'll pop the trunk so you can see that for a second. Okay, so this is the hatch. I got it open now. I'll just back up so you can see. Opens up pretty wide, so there's no difficulties in getting anything in there. And there's a fair bit of room. It's not as much room as the hybrid, but it's still quite substantial. It has more room, I believe, than the Leaf or the Bolt. So that's a good thing. Inside of that bag is the charging cables that came with the car. I'll open that up for you for a second. So there's the charging cables. That's what comes with the car, and every EV comes with a set of cables to plug it into a regular household socket. They all do. So big misconception that, well, where do you charge it? You can charge it any place you charge your cell phone, pretty much. And it does work. I've already tried it. But like I showed you in the car, using this charger or charging cable, it would take a long, long time to charge the car. You can do it, and some people, if they, like the commute that I take back and forth to work, I could do it. But, you know, if you come home from work and you need to go someplace else and you want to top her up fast, this just won't do it. So that's why I bought the other one. And this one here will just stay in the car, just in case I need it. Okay, and then down here, there's a little extra storage space, not that much. They put locking lug nuts on the car for me. And that there is the tire mobility kit. There is no spare in this car. So that's one thing that is different about, and well, I guess a lot of new cars have that now. It's not that big of a deal. That little handle there will unlock it'll unlock that fuel cap door, just in case the battery's dead and whatever, and it won't open. I can always pull this and do it. And then to actually unlock the charger, because while it's charging, it is locked. There is another lock inside of here. I had this off right there, and this lock here, that will actually unlock the charger. If for whatever reason it won't unlock, those are just your manual backups. This is the back seat of the car. Now the seats are not all the way back, but they're not all the way forward either. This is just the position that I drive the car in, and this particular model does not have power seats, so they're just there all the time. I'll get in the car, and I'll try to show you how much room there is in there. So there I am. I'm sitting in the car, and you can see here, so you can see my hand, I have a fair bit of room. I got my butt right to the back, so it's not like I'm slouching or anything. And there's my knees. I got lots of knee room here. And like I said, that's my normal driving position. I will get in the front too and show you that. But it's a lot of room back here. There's a seat belt here also, so it is actually a 5-passenger car. And in Ontario, that gives you an extra $1,000 on your incentive if it'll hold 5 people as opposed to 4. And yeah, you have inside of here, you have your armrest with 2 cup holders, and it's a 60-40 split seat. So right from here, this where I'm sitting will all come forward, and yeah, is that the way it is? I believe it is. Yes. Yes, that's the way it is. It splits from here. So the armrest and this seat go together. It's kind of nice. It's got ventilation right over here for the back passengers. The only thing I don't get is, why do they give you this netting behind the passenger seat but not behind the driver's seat? I don't quite get that. Okay, so let's move to the front. Okay, so now we're in the front. I'm in the passenger seat. And again, well, you're in the front, so but there's a ton of headroom here. I got my feet where I would normally comfortably sit. So like I said, I'm 5'8", so I'm not the tallest person, so you just have to judge it for yourself. But I think it's pretty roomy inside, and yeah, it's a pretty nice interior. So I'll sit in the driver's seat and I'll show you that one. So here we are in the driver's seat. My favorite place in this car. It is the best seat in the house. But yeah, you can see it's quite roomy. Nothing feels cramped. Everything is easy to get at. There's a lot of buttons in this car. There's buttons all over the place. And but I have to admit, they're laid out very nicely, very easy to you don't have to go looking in the manual every time. Oh, what's this button do? Because it's pretty straightforward. Mind you, I've glanced through the manual for the last month or so, so I pretty much knew what every button on this thing did before I even seen the car. One neat thing about the EV though is there is no gear shifter in this car. All you have, if I can just let me switch the camera. So for a gear shifter, all you have is this right here. Okay, you have, park, neutral, reverse, and drive. And that's it. That's all there is. Little place to keep your hand, even though I haven't figured out how you're supposed to keep your hand there. But yeah, and then you got more buttons, electronic parking brake, auto hold, heated steering wheel, right? So, heated seats, drive mode, heated passenger seat. This one's probably for if I spent more money, there'd probably be another function here. And then down here, I've got two 12-volt sockets and one USB socket and auxiliary. This car does have Android Auto, from what I understand, and Apple, whatever the one it is for the iPhones, and that's the USB port that you would use for that. And yeah, that's about it. It's a nice car. So, anyways, that's pretty much all I got to say for now. I will be doing more videos, showing you more of the features and stuff like that in the future. But in the meantime, I hope you hit the like button. Please leave some comments. I would love to hear some comments and questions and whatnot. And give me a thumbs up. Hit that like button, because that really helps to promote my video so other people will be able to find it easier. And with that, till next time, take care. Merry Christmas.